just about time to start making this look like something. This oversized quarter panel, she's not going to stay that way. This is just a preliminary shape. You know, that bottom section there, there's a reason for that. Some of you guys know, and some of you guys will find out soon enough what's going to happen there. Alright guys, just about ready to wheel up this panel, this quarter panel. But before we try and wheel it up as it is, I have to do one more thing, because if I don't, it's going to be a disaster. I'm going to take this bookshelf pilaster clip bracket, just a light piece of, I guess, a 16 gauge, and I'm going to screw it to the back side, just along the edge, kind of like that. I need to get some initial shape in this thing because it's going to be bending every which way. I will break the panel to give it some shape, but I just want it to steady the panel for me. And then once we start getting more shape into it, I'll take it off. Works out pretty well. I'll show you a panel I did earlier on. Well, this is the quarter panel, right rear, for a 67 Ford Fairlane. And as you can see, Fairlane. And as you can see, it's got a relatively low crown to it. And to wheel this up would have been very difficult. You can do it in two pieces, split it here, but I wanted to do it out of one piece. Basically took that channel that you saw there, screwed it to the back of this when this was flat, just a flat sheet, just what we have here, and just got some curve into it. Once I started putting the features in, it solidified to a degree, but that channel helped maintain that straight edge. Otherwise, it'd be a bunch of waves down the panel as I'm trying to wheel it, and it wouldn't have turned out so well. That one there has a lot more curvature outward and around than this one. Let's see what we can do with that. See, much better. Okay. Yeah, still fresh. Still got some lacquer thinner left. I know we wiped off the other side already, but you can never wipe it off enough. Look at that. I think we're done. Okay. Tape measure 30 to the center. So 30 and 30. So going halfway, this is not going to work out too well. That's okay because I can just put it in endwise and just touch up the middle. Right now I'm running with my not true flat anvil, the lowest crown anvil I have. My true flat is perfectly flat, and I hardly ever use that for anything except creating flanges or straightening something out. This one here has a little bit of crown. And I want to maintain as much of a flat surface as I'm wheeling this without creating any wheeling marks. Here we go. Before I get started, I guess I should explain the wheeling process. In order for this area in here to bulge out, I need to wheel this more over here than over here. I do not want to wheel the area where we're going to be rolling the flange over. And I don't want to wheel up into this area too much. The reason why, if I wheel this up in here on the panel up, we're just going to maintain a flat panel, just going to keep stretching outward. We need to trap the material in the center section by not touching this, not touching the area around the wheel, and there's a bend here so we don't go near that. I should mark it, I did right there. Majority of the wheeling is going to happen right here, right around the center. But I'm going to start over there and increase the number of passes in this middle area than on the ends. You hear talking already. The reason why? I've got that channel screwed to the panel flat. It's forcing the panel to go flat. Oop, easy there. Give the arms a break, and we will go in the other way. I think we get a little further with this side. Break time is over. Okay, so we wheeled up here, we got a flat spot. Actually, a dish is going the wrong way in the middle. Okay. Lots of curve there, not enough here. Quite a bit of shape to it. That's good. Let's get rid of the channel. We need to come out to about an inch. So that comes down. We got about 2 inches. no longer necessary. And then if I do end up with too much curvature, I just wheel the perimeter, the edges, and she'll just settle back down. Let's throw it up there. See how it looks. Check out the curvature to that of the door. Up here, I've got a little bit of flat going on because I couldn't get up high enough with that channel in the way. That's okay. Down in here, look how that's coming in. Yeah, that wheel is in too far. I've mentioned that about 300 times already. We're going to be changing those wheels out. What I'm looking at is the overall curvature. You have to look past certain things at the moment. Rome wasn't built in a day. I do have some witness lines. I am about 1/8 of an inch back on all of them, and this one's sliding down, so got to be careful with that. And took some dimensions off the original one. From the bottom of the rocker to the bottom back here, there is a 4 1/4 inch rise. So that has to roll in at that point. And there's a feature here, through there, and that is a 2 1/2 inch up from there. So that'll be installed after the fact. Right now, what I'm concerned about is getting, we'll trim off some of that as well, is getting the shape. Once we get the shape, then things are gonna shape up.
Just your end. Back down. Just want to clean up that corner up there. Okay.
Nice. Okay, all the way through my end. You see what I see? Okay. Okay, all the way through. Just the top. Just the middle. Just the middle. That's it. A little shorter, just, yeah, right in there. Okay. I'm gonna wash it. Yeah. Okay, back up. Okay. We're gonna go back down on your corner. Okay?
That's it.
and out we go. Okay. Perfect. There we go, guys. Just finished washing it out. A little bit of work left to do in the middle there. It's a little bit low, but we're gonna start trimming material away, forming the bottom in, and we have to establish where this wheel arch is gonna go. So I found some structural steel. They're old jigs from other projects. We're gonna clean them up, use them here, get a rod bent around for the wheel arch. See how well it's fitting to the door? So, we're sliding down. Okay, so you guys see the curvature of this panel. I've talked about it for so long already. Outward this way, you got the curve for the door, and you got this angle here at the back. Now let's look at the table and see what's going on with the passenger side panel. You notice the curvature, it's up off the table. We've got the curve for the door, and we've got this angle here for the back bumper. And we've got this curve up off the table. I've said it twice for a reason. We've just created 2 driver side quarter panels, and we only have one 74 charger. So we're gonna need to fix this using this 2x6. So I'm gonna get you guys set up on the tripod, and we're gonna make a few little adjustments.
What that 2x6 is gonna do, the 1.5 inch width picks it up off the table 1.5 inch more, so this curvature has room to pop the other way.
This is one huge oil can. Let's see if it works.
I hope.
I hope, otherwise we're gonna make another one. Okay, that's it.
Now, give her a little bit of
Yeah.
a torque.
Halfway. The back needs a little more curvature than the front. Okay. We're gonna go out to the edge a bit more. There we go. Okay, we're gonna go back. We'll do the middle a little bit more. There we go. Hear that?
Yeah.
Just about there. Just about.
Ooh, nice and shiny. We're gonna do your corner. Okay. Out we go. There we go. So
There,
you can
that's
see
better.
it's staying up. And that's pretty much it. That's all we're gonna do right now. All right. Well, you might say that I'm surrounded by bumpers. The more I moved them around, the more I looked at them, the more I think that we can shave some weight. There's a lot of bracketry on here that really isn't necessary. They served as bumpers in the past for the charger, This car behind us, the donor, has its own bumpers underneath. And we're going to rely on that. These are going to be more cosmetic. That'll have brackets attaching the shiny bits to the car. And I think after we're done, these shiny bits won't be too shiny anymore either. I thought about making some holes in here, you know, just weight reduction holes for speed. But like, look at this thickness here. We're dealing with 1/8 material all the way through. I think we can completely lose all that, come up with our own mounts. I don't want to see these guards that stick out 6 inches past the bumper. I know it was a thing back then for requirements. That's not my requirement, so they're gone. These carriage bolt heads, I want them filled in. I want a smooth finish. Don't want to see anything. So the studs will be welded from the backside, just like we did with the Chrysler. There's a bit of rust coming through there. We'll have to fix that. So we'll get them sandblasted, whatever it takes, and clean them up. That's one heavy bumper. Here we go. You might think it's kind of redundant, me putting in earplugs when I'm only plasma torching, but it gets pretty uncomfortable when you get a spark in your ear. Somehow they bounce back and find their way in there. So really what I'm going to look at is eliminating all the bolts that are attaching the shiny bits to the rusty bits. Now that it's safe to get you guys in closer, you can see all the rust that's in between the layers now. A lot of that is just loose stuff. If you didn't separate this, you'd be riding around with this car with all this rust falling out. Back here, got the same deal going on. Let's see if I can roll this over. I'm not kidding, that thing's heavy. So we can lose all that. You can see the indications of areas that we marked out to lighten the load a bit. A lot of these flanges, I think we can lose those. Cut them off, make it nice and clean. It's not pretty. As a matter of fact, it's ugly. So I'm glad we're doing this. Got some more bolts to take out there. Take this rubber off. There's a bolt there. Jeez. All this stuff is weight. Wait. Weight that we're saving now. Look at that. Nothing to it. All right, grab the air chisel. Oh, I got 2 more bolts there. Just when you think you're done. These clips just break off. That one, I'll just knock it off with this air manual chisel. Gone. We have some cleanup work with this. The taillight housings that we had, all brittle, broken up, so they're not usable. The lenses are good. Using the plasma, you saved a lot of time, a lot of messing around, going through zip blades, and a lot of places, like down here in the back bumper, you would have never gotten in with the zip blade. Torch, oxyacetylene, blow them off, done. I had to figure out exactly where that tail section is going to be attached to. Now back here, you guys might be looking at this bumper and noticing that things are a little bit off. That end is sticking out way too far. Had to do that to make this go in, because otherwise we probably have an 8-9 inch space right here if we just leave it straight on that board. Well, we can do that. It might fall, it might not fall, we'll see. Let's rotate this around. Come on. There we go. I can feel that clamp getting loose, but there you go, 6 inches. And to lengthen that car that much, not crazy about it. I want to keep this tail short. Not as short as we had before. According to the drawing, this leading edge was here. So I've already pulled it back 2 inches because standing back by the door, I just wasn't seeing it. In the drawing, like I said, the drawing is one thing. You stand back, look at the real car, different. So that 2 inches added to the back made an improvement. That bumper has to be tucked in. This bumper is a structural member of the car, and it's going to replace the Charger's bumpers. So you're basically going to have a sheet metal cosmetic fascia, and then you'll have the impact beam. This trunk area here, didn't want to disturb it, and it's actually going to work out quite well. When you look down from the top, you can see the trunk bottom rolls down, and it'll come in perfectly with a filler piece that'll mate up to the flange. This bumper, we're going to have to peak it. See the angle we have in here? Not a problem. Cut the center, take a little triangle out, top and bottom of the flanges, and just tuck it in. I want this car to have a really tight feel to it, like it's tailored. Adjusting that bumper, pulling this in, setting it now, and I'm pretty much sure that's where we're going to run with. This feature up in here, this has to be recurved. Now when it comes to these wheel arches, from the comments that I read, majority of people are leaning towards keeping the original feel to the arch, a traditional feel. However, if we try to use those quarter panels that came off the car for a template, it's not going to work out too well. All somebody did was took a piece of angle, bent it, kind of cut it and adjusted it into place. And they lost the original shape. From about 200 feet away, it looked good. When you got up close, we couldn't use it. So what I've done, since I don't have an original one to pull a template from, I went online, found a picture, and printed it on my printer. And, well, I kind of folded it up, but as you can see, that's what it's going to look like. The only problem with this, if you haven't guessed by now, the wheel is a little bit small. So, what we're going to do, I'm going to remove this square and nail this onto that little wheel there, or onto the original wheel there, some tape. Then I'll take this arch and extrapolate it out and around onto the sheet metal. Just a couple little lines. And then we'll take a rod and curve that rod around to where we feel it looks good, to where it matches this. And then, because we're actually taking and shrinking this wheel arch just a hair, you know, just this much. We've got some structural pieces down in here. We'll add a couple pieces and we'll tack that arch to the frame table. We'll clamp the backside. I'll put a new mark here. That's where I want the top to be. And we're going to trim this up and maybe tack it in place. A couple tacks. Remove that bumper before it falls. And this is going to start giving us more constraints as to what we need to do with this quarter panel. You can see a big space in here, partly because this is still sticking out, and the other reason, this shape isn't where it just needs to be just yet. There's a bit of a crease here, a really soft one that flows into the bumper. That's important. We have to keep that. And with respect to this little marker light, I might just do one of these and cut away this rust and that marker light. And that way we have a fresh edge to go to. When it comes to these wheels here, this will probably be the 387th time that I said it, they're not staying on the car. We're not using these on the final design. They're coming off, and I've got a brand new set in storage, really shiny, really clean, that's going to make this car look sick. These wheels, they're just for mock-up. While we're doing all this other preliminary work, the grinding, the pinning, the work, we're using these wheels. If we say put them on right now, just to have this great look to the car with new wheels, they're going to get dusty within 5 minutes. If I tape them up, and no matter how much I tape them, if I'm working away, no matter how careful I am, if I happen to drop, say, a little vice grip like this on the point, it's going to damage the wheel. And then I'll probably fall to my knees and cry, and it's just going to be a very embarrassing moment. And I'll have to buy another wheel, because to work it out, never a good thing. You can't use Bondo on shiny wheels. So as I mentioned, we'll all have to have a little bit of patience, get through this stage, and then we'll get the wheels on and you'll see. Now, if you do want to see what they look like, I did give a hint in the template making video. I showed what they actually look like in one of the concept sketches. And the reason I chose those wheels versus the hundreds of others we could have gotten, look at the car up above and compare the two wheels. I thought it was appropriate. So. You can see how this feature comes down, 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 and completely misses this feature up here. These used to align way back here somewhere. I'm going to have to take and hammer and dolly a new feature into here. Everything else is lining up not too bad. Now when it comes to this deal right here, this is down way too low. We could take and cut it off up above here, but I want to retain this vent. So when you close the doors on the car, they close nice. You don't have that issue of doors not closing. With the seals and everything in the proper location, it's going to be wind tight, weather tight, the way it should be. So we're going to keep that, just take the bottom and move it up. Reform these pieces and just up. Shaping up pretty well. once you figure out one side, the other side will go easier. Save this one for later. What I've done here is determined where the quarter panel or the rocker panel is going to end, down below in front of the wheel, in front of the tire. Made my mark, got the dimension off of that, and which was 6 inches, and just carry that all the way through and around following this pattern, the top arch. And now, with these witness lines, I'm thinking as I'm talking as well, we're going to bend up a piece of rod. Because with these witness lines, I'll be sitting here all day, probably next week, trying to figure out the right curvature. Right now I'm going to get a rod, bend it around roughly to that arc, and then situate that rod, fine tune it to what we need. I also need to get some uprights off of these so we can pick up that rod so it'll stay put while we scribe the quarter panel. Up here, we have 3/4 of an inch down, so that's going to disappear, and you can see right away we're thinning this right out. All right, let's go down, get a piece of rod. Wow, 6 feet. Now I've got a rod here, but it's just under 6 feet, maybe 6 inches less. Let's see what we can do with that. Okay, these are going to be the uprights. I'll clamp that right there, maybe even tack it. That's going to work out quite well. Now, I usually like using cold rolled rod. It's a little more difficult to bend, to curve, but as you can see, it's not kinking. It's some hot rolled stuff, and it's a disaster to work with. Easier to bend though. Can't really put this through a roller because we're not making a circle. Do a 50 style arch on this, long swooping lines. See what I mean? I can tip it now, but we still have a little more bending to do. Any heavier and we'd have to use a vise for this. If you want to see how I bend up heavy square stock, rectangular stock, round stock, check out the buck building videos. They're usually in the beginning of the larger projects. All right. Flat spot right there. Just comparing what we have here to this rod to the wheel arch. Okay, it's looking good there. I just need to bring the back around. We're getting very close. Need to move up a little bit. It takes as long as it needs to. Even you can do this. It takes time. A little high there. We'll adjust that. If anything, we gotta do that. Pull it back a little bit. It has a bit of a rake, but I think this is too rounded in the front. That's better. There. There we go. I'm going to talk about wheel arches and details. Come in a little bit closer. We're going to draw it right on the panel here. This is your fender. Dodge Challenger. A little abrupt. Dodge Charger. What I'm going to do is envision. This is a little bit much, but you get the idea. And we're going to have a kind of a soft radius in here. Little detail. It's going to look good. We're not going to have any chrome here. Challenger or the Charger had a bead around there. This is a little bit up. Top mark, top mark, top mark. Yeah, all the marks are lining up the way I want them to. See, that's that forward rake. It gives that effect. It's thinning out this area here on the original. Thank you, drawing. I'll save this for later. So you're never stuck. If you don't have access to a print shop, just set your printer up for poster printing. You can do 2x2, too high, too wide, 3x3. I guess, well, it depends on your printer software, but for the most part, I think they have that option. There's one more trick that I'm going to share with you. Probably the most important trick ever. These two quarter panels, side to side, if you had made them, as we did, identical, meaning you basically trace this one onto a fresh sheet of pieces of metal, cut it out identical to this one, you can literally take this band we're about to cut off, overlay it on the other one, and have the same arch. I'm going to leave a little bit extra down here, right there. So when you roll this up, you don't want to get shortchange yourself. You can always trim it up later. Oh, wrong side. There we go. So that's incorrect. And here, we've basically got 3/4 of an inch flange. We can just, do that. And what I'm going to do is cut. Maybe I should use a different color in case I cut off the wrong blue line. And we'll have really big arches there. So take this tape off. I'll circle this one. And that's the one we cut. As long as that doesn't slide down, which it might. You guys let me know if that's sliding. See this here? We had the real rims on here. Would have chipped them all up. Now unbend this, or unroll this. Use the slapper, straighten it out, or pass it through the English wheel. I'll do that later. And we'll overlay it. See how close we get. All right, so there we have our wheel arch. We're covering the top of the tire just a little bit with this flange. We'll roll it up, you will see the top of the tire. When we adjust the suspension, get her down, it will cover the top of the tire. So that's all good. So I'm gonna do some more trimming. I'll bring you guys in when we're ready to wheel the wheel arch. Okay, well, we still need to wipe that off, but in the meantime, gone ahead and cut off most of the excess material. The bottom's been trimmed up to the rocker, so when we roll the bottom, that'll fit up on top of this ledge here. Added some tape to the door so that we can find out exactly where that cut line is while the sheet metal is covering it. I made a little cut up in here so I could slide this panel up and underneath the quarter panel, or the top section of the quarter panel. So we can go ahead and scribe that soon. Not quite ready yet. You see, get my arm up inside here, I can actually flex the two out, and before we scribe it, I want to wheel this thing one more time. Just bring that curvature out. It's close, but it's not quite there yet. See that? It's a little bit flat up near the top. Back here, I pulled the clamp off. We're gonna have to create a subtle crease in this rear section that matches here. There is a tab on the back side of this. I left it for a screw, just in case we need it. See that back in there? So that can be cut off later on, no problem. Clamp holding that, radius to corner. The radius is a lot easier to blend in than a sharp point. So that's something I do. And finally, we've got the wheel arch indicated. So that's going to be the top edge, that part right there. And somewhere in here, more than likely, that blue line is going to be the bend for the flange that goes in and picks up the inner wheelhouse. We need to roll this up I've trimmed the bottom section off of that vent hole there, so that's ready to go. The rear pan has to be fabricated yet, but all in good time. We want to get this roughed in, because if you start jumping here to there, nothing's going to get done. You need to focus on one area. However, you still have to think about things like that. You can see the original feature corresponded to this here. So now we've recreated that, and I think it's going to come up around here somewhere, which is about 2 inches lower than factory. So we're going to see how that looks. It's only when you start creating a lot of features that you start locking the panel in. Okay, so we're going to pull this off, wheel it up a little bit, and take and throw it in the wheel again with a different lower anvil. This one here. And that's an absolute flat one. I showed you that earlier. And we're going to start creating this arch.
You want me to tip down?
Yeah, tip
Okay.
down. We're going to tighten this wheel up a bit. Okay, maybe you can do that. Just snug enough so we don't slip
Okay.
out.
Okay.
Yep. We should move in a little bit more.
In?
Right there. Yeah, I need 1/8 of an inch in from the edge.
Okay, just snug.
Okay, down we go.
Okay.
She's singing, guys. We're doing something here that most people don't do with an English wheel. Okay. Easy, easy. Those little bumps are from the cut. Okay, you're gonna have to swing. Yep, and out we go. There we go. Okay. So let's bring this in front of the guys here, guys and gals. And as you can see, we just created a feature along the top side of the wheel arch. And I think I'd like to go one more time. That looks much better. Now, we could leave it like this and just roll the flange under, but I want to add a little more to it. We talked about it earlier. What we're going to do is create a little soft reveal, a little concavity in here, using the rubber wheel now. Now this is going to be more tricky than before, because I need to align with a groove and follow that groove in the tire. Yes, you can use a pull max to do the same thing. But if you don't have a pull max, okay, all yours. Up you go. Oop. Okay. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Let's go
That
take a
looks
look.
nice.
Let's take a look. So there we have a slight reveal. Not as much in the middle, but more so towards the ends. So we're going to go through one more time and
Give it a touch more.
give it a touch more. but it's flowing in. We didn't go up and over the blue line, which is really important. So the second groove from the right on the tread is what I was following, and we have to do basically the same thing. We'll probably apply a little more pressure, and we'll get it up on the car where there's a little more light, and you guys can see what we've done. Doing this eats material, which is what we want to help us roll that fender flare. Getting too much light. Ooh, back up. He's got more leverage than me.
I'm not actually pulling on this.
I know. But, ooh, okay, up you go.
I'm digging into the side here.
That's okay, you can paint it again. Okay, let's put it up on the car. And I don't know if I like that wheel arch. I think it's the additional 1 inch that's throwing the eye right now. But the shape of it is looking good. The curvature up here, we've increased that, so that's flowing in a lot nicer now. Back here, we still have that where it's coming away from the back here, so that's got to be brought out. But overall, we've got that slight factory rake up in there. And it's looking good. That feature right there, it looks like it's climbing, so we're going to have to readjust it. It's not too, well, it lines up at the front, but at the back it goes up. So we're going to bring that down a bit. And yeah, let's roll that up. 2 things. Yeah, 1/4 inch. A little bit makes a huge difference. So we'll have to do basically the same thing, put it through the wheel with the flat anvil and create a crease through there, same as over there. We might do those before we do the final roll, because we might not be able to get that into the wheel after. Yeah. Okay. I think we're going to peter out this feature as it comes into the rocker. Just make it disappear. Now, based on the dimensions on the original charger, this roll at the bottom happened 4 inches, 4.24 inches above the bottom, from the bottom of the rocker. So if we line up the bottom of the rocker, down a little bit. Yeah, right there. Well, actually, instead of guessing, is 7.5. So 7.5, 4 3/4, and we have 12. I think we can work with 12.
That's very close.
Right there. So that black line is going to be our bend, and then this feature was 2 and somewhere 2.2 something. So say 2 1/4. We're sitting at 2.5, and I think we're going to leave it at 2.5. I actually have 2 1/4 marked, but it's at 2.5 because I'm trying to minimize the difference between this point up here and because that's where our fascia is going to be. I don't want to move it down. I could move it down, but that's where the bumper ends as well. Through this line. Yeah, now I'm going to bend it. I don't want to break the stick. There. Nope, come on, don't move. Okay, that's getting close. So that's going to be our bend line in the panel there and at the front there to continue that Coke bottle shape to the back. That's what it is right there. So as soon as this comes out, that line drops down. Okay. So I just stood back, took a look at this. You see this nice graceful curved line through here? This one used to be straight. Well, we have a very similar curved line sweeping upward to the bumper. So it's going to work.
That's just touching?
Just touching, yep.
Okay.
And we're going to just let gravity do its work. I'm debating. See the crease? Okay. If I pull back, I won't be able to see it. Okay. Sharpen it up a little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, a little sharper. Yeah, that's better. Okay. Looking good.
Okay.
We'll bring you guys in a second. We have to actually shoot through. This has to stay. Do you have the room to do that?
Okay.
Okay.
Yep. Okay.
Which line? Okay, coming back. I can see this way. Okay.
Okay.
I think that's going to be good. Yep. I want a softer radius here, but I don't want a sharp line. That one's going to be a sharp line because it mates up with the rocker
Yeah.
panel. One more bend. I'm just gauging it. Okay.
Oh, I see.
I just don't want a sharp line. I just use the edge of the anvil. Yeah, 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 that's good. Keep going. It's a gradual thing. That's it. That's right on. Okay. Wow. Okay, so if you can look past this additional 3/4 inch flange here, I think we got ourselves a quarter panel. It's matching up, mating up here with the rear section quite well. Down below, got the muffler exposed, and that's okay, but the structure is hidden. You see how it returns underneath? So we're going to have to create another 90-degree bend down to pick up an additional structural piece that we'll create later on. There's a bit of a crease right here, and that's going to involve us do some shrinking on this flange. Suck that in. That's mating up the door quite well, all the way up. No gap. And there we go. So now we can put the other wheel on and take a look. Make sure we're on the right track. Or do we roll the flange? What do you guys say? Do we roll the flange or put the wheel on? Okay, we'll put the wheel on. And there we have it, guys. 1/4 panel mounted with the custom wheels. That flange is going to have to be rolled yet, yes, we'll get there. This part here. You see how nicely they fill out the wheel arches? We are right where we need to be. There's a kind of a flat area over here that has to be wheeled up yet. I think we got it. The original Charger, check out the drawing up above, the opening was much, much larger. Makes the body look smaller, but that arch looks too big, I think.
The lines are flowing in beautifully.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just right on. I think that was neat the way you brought the tail end up.
It helps it a lot. Otherwise it looks heavy.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks a lot for watching. I'm gonna kind of stand back and look at things. See if we really like it. Might come back tomorrow and say, hey, no, it's all wrong. But right now, I'm quite pleased with that. If I roll that flange in at this point to open up the wheel arch, that'll be a mistake because that's going to lock us in. We won't be able to flatten out and readjust these areas if we need to. So we have to kind of use our third eye, one between the other two eyes we have, and just take that away, take that edge away. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Hope you guys can see where we're going with this. And next time we'll tackle the front. Get the front fender going.
Tapering of the back end like you did actually will accent the exhaust from underneath.
So true.
It really enhances the exhaust system coming out straight like that.
Mm-hmm.
It draws attention to the exhaust system.
Yeah, we'll tuck it up a little bit, maybe an inch, 3/4 of an inch, just to bring it up a bit, because we can do that. But
It's just like
it's an accent.
yeah, when you extend your tips out the back,
Mm-hmm.
you're doing the same thing a little bit at the bottom. That little triangular piece showing
Yes.
does actually the same thing as extending these. It gives it that accent.
Mm-hmm.